All right. Long time no see. Hope everyone's doing well. It's your boy Kamal Hart back on the chart, and let's go bar by bar. We're gonna get this started right around 6 o'clock, 2 minutes after. So if you walk in, if you walk in during the pre-market, it's kind of looking like a range right now. So I'd probably look for my lows somewhere in here, maybe a tick higher at that point. It's pretty close is close enough. I probably have my highs. This looks like a pretty good high. I like the double top, low failed breakout. That probably would work. I could also see it being a little lower, maybe over here at the 39.19 level. Um, but like I said earlier, close is going to be close enough. And then just for accuracy, let's get the midline on there. Probably got a midline there. So it looks like it was about there for the midline. Yeah, just about. So ideally, we want to try to get long down here, get short up here. Um, let's go ahead and run it and see what we get. So this bar right there, that's a second entry short. It does happen on the lower side. Plenty of room to those lows and below the EMA. You know, you could also maybe look at the price action and say that there's a downtrend through here, but it doesn't fit super well off those highs. And you probably already have a breakout side right there. When you bring that to the lows, I wouldn't say it fits amazing either there. In fact, I am a little more inclined to draw something like this, and I'm looking to get that break below test of the high. So I'm kind of just sitting on my hands right now, and you can see we do kind of get that breakout side and a push higher. Doesn't actually make a new high though, so that's like a lower high right there. Um, the second entry long triggered right there, but you wouldn't have bought above that signal bar. So really, this is just kind of a lot of indecision. We're on both sides of the EMA, just kind of waiting. We're gonna just take it easy. And we're actually having a very hard time getting above these highs. I'd almost consider just defining a smaller range, kind of a range within the range, just to keep yourself on the right side. Um, I was going to talk about the second entry here, but it's too advanced. We don't have to worry about that. Here's a big signal bar at the edge. It's just a first entry though. And then it broke lower, like a failed break lower. But this actually would have been your signal bar, this doji. That's probably not going to be good enough. So I would just be waiting. Then you get this sort of reversal bar. And then that reversal bar is a lower high. And then we go into another kind of congestion zone right there. So really with both ranges happening, excuse me, with both ranges happening, it's a little tough to make a decision right now. Ideally, we're trying to get long, but the EMA is pointed down. All I can really see right now is just continue to draw your short-term ideas. That'll just help you stay on the right side. So I'll probably just draw that. There's another congestion zone. Maybe there'll be a breakout pullback to the upside, or maybe a failed break to the low side. Um, there's that breakout to the high side, and then it kind of like what we'd expect. It fails, comes right back into the congestion zone. Um, just just stuck sideways. You just gotta sit on your hands. Off these highs, there's a lower high, but then again, we still need to get below this 38.98.75 level. So like here, now that we're below this level, we can start to feel better about the long if we do get the long. Looking at how far we are from the EMA. Here's a second entry long, um, double bottom. Hindsight is always 100%, but I mean, this would be an in-system trade. Um, I really thought that was going to fail. That ends up working 98 to, you get plenty of ticks. I go for 2 points, obviously, so even I would have gotten out on that trade. I know what's going to happen, but I don't know everything that happens. So even that trade threw me off. I was pretty sure. I thought I was going to have to explain why this trade lost, but it works. So if you just follow the system, you'll be all right. And even with this idea, right, it still plays out on this smaller congestion zone because we had the congestion zone, a breakout. There was no breakout pullback. So once we got that bull signal bar and a double bottom, at least we expected to come test the breakout area. It doesn't stay above it for long, and now it's making a new low. We want to see possibly like a higher low. I mean, it's obvious that we're working down, but we got to let the market play out first before we make any real conclusions about where the price is going. And so like here is it's a near breakout pullback. It's not quite the type of breakout pullback that I like. So I would still just kind of hang on. Okay, we're trending lower. Um, I want to explain it clearly, but as of now, if I was really trading this live, um, I'm definitely aware of this downtrend, and I might at this point just consider this my breakout pullback. But I would really try to wait to see if I can get the breakout pullback that happens below this range area. So even though it's shooting off to the lows, we're not going to chart that yet. Let's see if we can wait to see if we get an official like breakout pullback. Um, I think another thing that we might consider though, if you get 9 red bars in a row, you have to consider that as some sort of like breakout trend. At least we can give it that, at the very least. So what we'd want to see is we want to see that play out, a breakout side, move to new low, maybe a reverse, or we can then start to figure out what's going on. Because it's definitely trending down. There's no debate about that at this point. And if you are going to go to that extent, might as well see what we can get off these highs. My current lows are here, so we already have a breakout. On the low side, it's a little tough to figure out where we are. You know, let's see if that means anything. We do get some support there. Um, a little tough to say if that's going to be convincing enough. It's kind of like a pseudo broke outside, move to a new low. Let's see what happens at the EMA. Now that we're at the EMA, then we get this red bar. In the context of the market, this is that breakout pullback that I'm talking about, right? Like we had the range, we broke out. Up until this point right here, we're honestly expecting it to come test back up here. But once it closes like this, then you might even make it a little tighter. So like there's another idea that might end up being maybe a little bit more like that. I'll just take this other one off just for the sake of not being too confusing. So you might have an idea that's kind of like this, and that's going to give you a little bit of a tighter, and you see that fits a little better, in my opinion, just right off this recent price action. So that would be the trend that I would be working with if um, if I was trading real time. And then if you look carefully, this high swings higher than this doji right there. So that's our high. That's the lower high. This is a failed second entry short. I'd be okay going short right there. Off the EMA, lots of room to the lows. That's a good short. Easy trade. And then here we get another test of the EMA, test of the trend line. It's a second entry short off the low. First entry, once it breaks below, that's a second entry. I would also like to short that as well. So I would have, in this situation, I probably would have gotten my scalp. If I had a runner, my runner probably gets stopped, break even, maybe a couple ticks in my favor, but I don't make much off that runner. But I would have just re-entered on the break below there. So it breaks below there, re-entry, pretty much an easy play. You get another scalp. And then here you get another turn down off of the EMA and the key entry point, and we still have a good amount of room to these lows. Um, this isn't exactly a failed second entry long. It's a pseudo. If we're just going to count this as our high, you might count this as a failed second entry. This one's going to be more aggressive though. But I also like that. I just would just trade all three of those trades to be honest. But I'll do like Mac, and I'll make this one green, just so we can understand that although this is a decent idea, it's definitely aggressive. So, and then that one really starts to give you some movement. I would go ahead. Let's just measure that leg. So that would be leg one. We got a possible leg two down there at 38.70, possibly. But at this point, you definitely already have enough for your scalp and all that. It doesn't quite get down there. We're starting to break the highs. Again, back to that idea of traditionally, I would have wanted to see a reversal pattern before I draw my micro line. But I think one thing that today kind of taught me is that, if you see 7 green bars in a row, that's a trend. So you might as well draw that. Um, So let's just see how that holds and see how it just keeps trending higher. You might as well just go ahead and draw a line and let that play out, and then we'll figure out from there what's going on. So that's holding. That's the first red bar we get. No trade. That's just the first entry to the low. Really, I wouldn't say we're looking for longs, but we want to see that this bull leg plays out before we, do anything. So break outside. We test that EMA. We're starting to get some stack up right there. That's the first entry. It doesn't really do anything, but your stop loss should be below this red bar. So I wouldn't have entered long there, but that first entry is just kind of sideways. And then we get a breakout side. Look at that. We get a breakout side to a new high, just like that, right? Breakout side, move to a new high. So now, if we get our right, like maybe like a failed second entry or something, maybe we're going to go test these lows. That would be the first break of this channel. This little bear leg has finally played out. If you really, really want to be a stickler, there's probably like a congestion zone right there. So, you just let's be mindful of this area. We get a nice push outside. Let's see if we get that breakout pullback like we always look for. Not quite yet because it comes back inside. I want to see it happen outside of my congestion zone. But then when we get this trade, I like this trade. Uh, Possibly, and what I'll do here, just to save myself 2 seconds, possibly what I would do here is, let me see, there we go. Another sort of aggressive short. The EMA is flat, but this is a second entry off this low, first entry, second entry, and it's a failed second entry long off the high up here. First attempt, second attempt, it fails, go short. Um, Aggressive trade. You got to really be seeing a little bit of the bigger picture to take this trade. But at this point, I'm just looking for, at least to get to these lows, and maybe we can test the lows at some point as well. So we get way more than enough for the scalp. It doesn't even break above there. So if you have a runner, I would just be moving my runner probably 2 bars back. So if we're currently here, I'd have my runner, instead of being here, I'd have my runner like right here. I'd just be moving it 2 bars back. See, because like right there, you would have got stopped out. Um, you don't really know that beforehand, but generally, I like to just have it 2 bars back, and I want to give it room so it can make a swing low. And then now, I'd probably just have it above this swing at this point. It's starting to get close to those lows. Just start to protect some of that profit. You're still not out if you do have a runner. You might think about covering here soon, but either way, if it breaks above here, you'll be stopped out soon anyway. If you have it where it's supposed to go, which is one tick above this swing, you actually have not been stopped out yet. And then you're able to kind of secure a little bit more profit. You would move your stop to about there at this point, and that one would stop you out. So that's a pretty good trade, really good runner. I actually did take this trade during the day. That was a solid trade for me. So at this point, we have this bear trend plays out, legs down. Um, in a way, I didn't draw it, but obviously there's just a little micro trend through there. So you get the breakout side, move to a new low. So let's see if we can close above the EMA. Like right here, we get the close above the EMA and a higher low. Um, you know, a little aggressive to buy this yet. Um, it's slightly aggressive. I mean, I kind of like it. I'd maybe say this is aggressive. Yeah, it's aggressive. It's advanced. You just have to see what's happening in order to really take that trade. Um, and it actually would have looks like it would have stopped you, right? It ticks above and then pulls back. Um, Sometimes that happens, but if I would have gotten stopped out and then it creates this bar, I would just buy that because that's pretty much the same trade. We have a trend, and it's really all the same move, to be honest. It never really creates a lip, so it's really just the same move. Once it triggers here, I'd buy that again, to be honest. That one would have worked out fine. So, you probably between both those trades, depending on how you trade. I didn't trade that, but depending on how you traded that, if you do what I just described, you break even in that little area, but that's not bad because you're coming off a couple solid wins. So at this point, um, let's see if we can expand the channel. I'd be looking for something like this. Pull back, and then if we can break above this bar, that's going to be the failed second entry short off this low, first attempt low, second attempt right there. If we break above there, that's going to be a second entry short or a failed second entry short. Sorry, I'm a little tired today. It's been a long day, but we're gonna get through this. It's all good. We get a double doji sort of situation. Generally I don't like this double doji situation, so that would make me switch up from a like textbook. I would take that with my eyes closed sort of thing to that's a little aggressive now. Now you're starting to take a little bit of a risk. But I do like that we have EMA support. I like that we're off the key trend line. when we're talking about failed second entries, you don't really care what the signal bar is, and there is room to these highs to get out. Um, so if I'm still wanting to take this trade, I just have to be aware that it's a little aggressive. Kind of gets stalled up for a little bit, and it eventually kind of it takes off. So you would have really had no problem. Nothing even breaks below. And then back to that idea of your runners. This was such a great day for runners. Um, you would just be playing your runner maybe 2 bars back until you get a swing. Um, don't really get a swing, so you just, you're probably getting stopped out. Uh, I mean, at that point, I'd have a runner just or a stop just right there. So if it breaks there. But before there, because I don't want to focus too much on runners, I want to focus on entries. There's definitely a congestion zone like this. So let's play that. And then you can see as we look back, we're below, above. We're starting in a range. So I would even consider um, not to just negate everything that we worked on up here, but the chart's going to get messy if I don't delete these. Generally, when I'm trading, I don't even use the horizontal lines because anything can happen during the day, and then you're kind of confused. But I'd be looking at my lows about here. I'd be looking for lows here, and then for the highs, I'd probably have my highs here, to be honest, at 92.75. We'll scoot it over. I probably have my highs there. So you can see that um, we're kind of just working in another range, and then we have a congestion zone up in here as well. So I want to get like some sort of breakout pullback. I'm trying to short a lower high. That's the lower high, but you don't want to short the breakout. Let it actually sell off, and then here you get a failed second entry, and I'm more down to short this. And it depends on how you draw this. If you had this maybe a little higher, like on these, then you would feel more comfortable, other than the fact that you're shorting into the EMA. But generally, I go for the wider situation. So in this situation, I probably wouldn't short this. Um, just a little too aggressive. But I would be mindful that that is happening, and we are at the highs of what is a range. So there's potential for that trade, and that one goes off. And we talked about this one in the chat real time, and some of the traders did take this trade. But at the time, like I said, for the things that I'm talking about, it just doesn't quite fit with my uh, system. So I would have probably skipped that trade, and that was a nice trade. Regardless, we have this sort of bull leg. We never really broke outside. I'll extend it so we can visualize what I'm talking about. We don't really, we do have maybe a small breakout side, so that would have helped you maybe expect again on this side that it would just keep going. But we might come and test these highs again once we start seeing this sort of pattern like this. Just waiting. We never break below, so it's somewhat challenging to buy any of these. It wouldn't be a setup. Again, we get congestion back in the same area. And now that we're trading above this range, we want to think about getting short until we get a breakout pullback. A little bit more congestion, but like right there, that's a breakout pullback. See how prices broke below and then this bar closes above? That's the breakout pullback. So at that point, real time, I'm looking at something like that. It's unfortunate that this one's not that pretty. You could draw it like this, like I just did, or you might draw it like that. You just get less touches if you do it like this, but I mean, both generally get you to the same place. So it's just a personal preference. During the day, I drew it like this, and then when I was doing my review, I kind of switched it up. But either way, I'd be looking at something like this now. So I wanna buy second entries and any setup that I can find. The reason why I'm not buying this second entry is we're not really on the EMA. We're definitely going sideways. I'll draw this. Let me draw this real quick, or let's see what I get. We're definitely going sideways. You can see the congestion right there. So I don't really want to buy this. Maybe we'll break lower and get like a higher low, and I'll buy that. We don't necessarily break lower. We kind of get outside and then continue higher. But this is the breakout of this congestion zone. So let's see what happens. Nice push. It would have worked, but once again, it's just, you know, you can't really fall into that trap of, oh my God, I should have took the trade. It worked because, the principles behind this trade weren't quite there, and that's fine. And then here we have that breakout, but like when we look at this congestion zone, once again, the same thing we did here. We're looking for a breakout pullback. So we haven't gotten that breakout pullback. So I'm on guard. I'm expecting if we don't get that breakout pullback, I'm expecting us to come test this breakout area. We go right to it pretty much, and then here it breaks lower and then closes well. Here's another sort of tricky trade. And you have to be a little early to take this trade. So I'm looking at a long because we're getting EMA support. We did try to test this area. We didn't quite get there. But if we get a bar that closes above this bar, that's going to be a breakout pullback of the congestion zone. And then even if we just break above this area, that's going to be a failed second entry off these lows. From this low, that was the first attempt to go lower, and here's a second attempt to go lower. So once we break above here, I'm cool buying above there. Another thing that we were looking at was that we have leg one, and then here is leg two, and you can see that price completely ignored this measured move. It shot right past it. That's a good sign. That's a good sign that we might at least come test these highs again, and possibly there's more room to the highs. So I like buying this one. Takes a little bit to actually close above, but right there it closes above. And then I'm starting to kind of develop a bigger idea, which would have a trend like this. Right? I'd have probably something like this at this point. So we're getting off that EMA. There's a midline. In fact, drawing this channel makes the trade a little more aggressive, to be honest, because we've touched the high side, so now we're expecting ourselves to come to this low side. But all of the ideas I stated before kind of happened before I drew this channel. In fact, real time, I drew the channel after I had already gotten the scalp on this trade. Um, but I would like to just make it be known that it's there. Um, so I'd probably be looking at something like that. You get the scalp, and then you get a you know test of this high, and then at this point, when we start to push back down, I want to kind of just see what price is going to do. Maybe we can get long off the trend line or something like that. Kind of going sideways, stacking up, breaking lower. Here's a reversal pattern. It's a little aggressive to short right here. Just given the context of everything, um, if you're being aggressive, I'd go for it. But if not, I would just wait. It's probably not the best trade. It works. Let's see, you get 2 points, 97, 75. Yeah, you get 2 points. So I mean, it would have worked, but it's not the best idea. So I'm cool just waiting. And then here, we have that micro trend down. We get a first entry right there. And then here is kind of a play that you have to have seen real time because price broke above and then started to come lower. Uh, if it had closed before this low, it would have been a second entry short, and I actually like that. We're getting EMA support. We're expecting a test of the low. We're honestly expecting it to come test the trend line. I like trading this one. It's just a little unfortunate that it kind of made an engulfing pattern and it hides the second entry. But if you were seeing this real time, you would have seen it break above and then come back down. I like that trade. Pretty much no heat, easy scout. And now we're making a leg down and we're almost getting back into this range. I'm not too concerned about that per se. I just want to see what kind of happens when we do start to turn up. I want to see what happens around the EMA. So we got that push higher right there. I'm looking at this overall trend and I'm thinking, hey, we're gonna come test this EMA at some point. Let me see if I can get like a higher low. Here's the higher low. I'm not super keen. I just don't have it extended, but I'm not in love with buying the higher low in this instance. You're kind of like right into that resistance. You might overlook it, but I'd rather wait. It's not your best trade, so I'm cool just skipping that one. But then if we break above here, that's our failed second entry, and I like that. I really like that one because um, we're looking at what might be leg one, and then we have our trend channel. We have a breakout side. We got above this range area. Although we're right into that EMA, so that's the only thing I wouldn't love. We're right into the EMA. Um, but I'm expecting prices to come test these highs. And then we get a nice uh, bull close, and that close happens above the EMA. That's a great sign. I just would buy this also, almost with my eyes closed. I'd buy that, no problem. I think the only thing you have to consider on that trade is are you going to buy when it breaks above or when it closes? It definitely be, it's smarter to buy this when it closes, but you have the risk that you have a huge bar. This is like a 4 point bar. And then you drop a limit order, it may or may not work out for you. Personally, I buy when it breaks above, and then if it doesn't set up the way I like, I just tighten my stop or something like that. But this one would have set up the way I like. I would have just kept my stop where it goes. I have a scalp target and maybe a runner target up here, and I'm just waiting. And that one goes straight up. I mean, it's probably there's been a couple easy trades today, so I wouldn't even say it's the easiest trade of the day, but it definitely is another great opportunity today. And that gets us basically to 8:45. 8:45 happens about right there. So that's the first 2.5 hours of the day. Plenty of opportunities today. A couple aggressive trades, but you know, fairly easy day if you were reading everything correctly. I think you might have just gotten tripped up over here, uh, but you know you were being a little aggressive buying this already, so you probably didn't get tripped up too bad here. And then even if you did, you can just re-enter or then just buy the failure pattern. But and then honestly, I mean, if you had traded all of these trades, I don't know why you're even trading by this point. But regardless, it doesn't matter. Fairly easy day, in my opinion. Let's just run through the rest of the day so we can see how it played out. Um, once again, we just keep pushing higher. I would say that when we get this reversal pattern right here, you should have a micro trend right through there. And that micro trend holds strong. Like that would have helped you consider this trade. This trade isn't really a real trade. It's just a higher low, but it's a good signal bar, small signal bar off the key entry point in what is a very tight bull channel. You might consider that. But that takes some explaining, and it's best just to skip that type of trade if you don't truly understand what's going on. It's totally fine just skipping that. And then we kind of get some sideways action here, which is expected, right? We have a break outside, move to a new high. We're going sideways for, let's see how long that is, from 9 till almost an hour of sideways movement, right? Look at that. Just like what the manual talks about an hour of sideways movement. Uh, we get another push up and then a reversal pattern right there. Let's see if we come back to test these lows. It doesn't quite come back in that instance, but if you would have traded that, you got the scalp. But the reason why I brought that up is just, you might have had like a trend line like this or something. But at this point, the real idea is probably just this, to be honest. It's probably just like some sort of initially it would have been down here, and then as prices make new ceilings, I'd probably just raise it to about there. And that pretty much is just the rest of the day. I mean, it just kind of goes sideways, pretty, and then in the after hours, it actually decides to trend a little lower. So you probably draw that, and pretty, like I said, pretty easy. And then right there, you get a second entry short right there. That lower high is not a great signal bar. You get the reversal pattern right there. So yeah, I mean, pretty standard. As long as you were really reading stuff correctly up in here, you did all right today. But yeah, it's been a great week. It's been a pretty solid month for me trading wise. Yeah, everything's pretty gravy. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments or whatever. But we're gonna go ahead and call that a wrap here, and I'll probably be back in a couple weeks. I'll do another one or something. But until then, y'all trade smart, y'all be safe, and Kamal Hart signing out.